Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday morning. And today, I would like to invite everybody to feel like they are the most blessed person on earth. And of course, if you listen carefully, you'd hear that logically that's impossible. If you think there can only be one most blessed person on earth. But what we're going to discover in the next several minutes is that blessing is non-competitive. And by that, we can all 7 billion of us fully embrace with gratitude and realistically say, wow, I am the luckiest man alive, the most blessed woman on earth, the most fortunate being that's ever lived. And if we study this, we'll actually find out that lots of the greats, the prophets, the spiritual leaders, the wisest and most loving people on earth, basically, if you read between the lines of all the things they're saying something like that. They are really grateful to God for the life they've been given. Now, I asked a member of Epiphany for his permission that I could use his name in this live stream today, and it's Mr. Phil Barnes. And here's what happened. Rick O'Brien, my colleague here at Epiphany, did a program called Embracing Evangelism. And, I'm not going to lie, the program was pretty good, but in terms of skill sets, Rick O'Brien is a great teacher. So what it was a B curricula with an A+ teacher. And what Rick also did was trimmed all the boring stuff, or much of the boring stuff, out of the program and kept some pretty good stuff. And also wisely added, because this entire 6 weeks class was done by Zoom, lots of little breakaway discussion in smaller subsets of the 20-some people who took the class. And one of the first couple of weeks, I ended up in a breakaway group of a total of 2 people, Phil Barnes and myself. And we started chatting, and I think it was a 3 or 4 minute breakaway before we came back to the full group. And boy, that time went like that. And what I shared, because we were sharing sort of super happy moments as a story, as a narrative, because often those happiest moments are where God is. And I happened to share with them. I was just driving up the highway, and my wife's a Filipina, we were listening to Tagalog music, like the 50 biggest hits in the Philippines. And of course, I don't know Tagalog except Mahal Kita, I love you. But you could hear the super drama. After about the 3rd song, my wife says, as explanation and perhaps as an apology, she goes, Filipinos love drama. And it was just one of those Zen perfection moments driving up I-15, which can be a little boring, actually, even if you love the desert. But with the woman I adore, and we're listening to this really fun music, and I'm singing along, not knowing the words I'm singing and butchering the language. It was just a total time of joy. And Phil shared a story with me, too, and bing, suddenly we're right back to the Embracing Evangelism class, and we felt like our conversation that would have gone half an hour was ended abruptly. So I called Phil the next day, and we continued the conversation. But what was pretty apparent as we spoke was that Phil was saying, thanks, Chris, because you reminded me, too, of all these moments of just where simple things can give us pure, blissful happiness and joy, just because our hearts are lovingly open to them. And that's what, again, I would like everybody to move toward, if possible, today. It is fun to feel blessed. And it is really fun to feel like you're the most blessed person on earth. Now, let's be realistic here. I know that probably quite a few of you go, yeah, well, good for you, Chris. Whatever. Maybe you suck up to God so much that God's better to you, but I'm not so lucky. But for everybody, I'd like to offer a few techniques. One, and this has been said by every master throughout history for the 10,000 years of any recorded history we have about human beings. Take an accounting of something good in your life. Everybody, even St. Paul in prison being beaten and starved, could go, oh, I am so grateful for the fact that God communicates with me so generously. And anybody who would doubt that obviously has not read much of his writing. It's clear that God did communicate with Paul. And for that, he was deeply grateful, indebtedly grateful. So, wherever you are in life right now, what can you say gives you joy? What do you love? Where can you say, thank you, God? And if you can't say, thank you, God, for making me the most blessed woman on earth, or the most blessed man on earth, really take a risk and say, thank you, God, that someday I'm going to be the most blessed man or woman on earth. I know it sounds corny, but what else are you going to do right now? You going to watch more CNN? He just says the same thing all day, every day. And then they just stop telling you things that they've been saying for a week. You know, like they just suddenly stop mentioning fires in California, and then they come back in a few days. That's just, it's all the same stuff. And that, by the way, is never going to make Fox, CNN, MSNBC, all that stuff is never going to make you or anybody you know feel like the most blessed person on earth. We have to work a little harder internally to get to that point of feeling blessed. Now, many of you also are quite a bit younger than my 61 years old, and I want to mention age for a reason. I was reminded yesterday by one of our tech geniuses here, Joseph Sablé, and he said, have you ever seen the happiness curve? Which basically suggests that we start off pretty happy, and as we head to adulthood, generally it tends to decrease. And then sort of in the 50s, 60s, 70s, if you just go on the average, the median reporting of most human beings, and this is in all cultures and nations and religions, people tend to report that they get happier as they get older. Now, young people think, how can that be? An 80-year-old who might be decrepit or, has no energy and is sickly and lives with chronic pain, why are they happier? And especially they know that they don't have as long to live. The average 18-year-old think, that must stink. That won't make you happy. But when you understand that life actually goes in a circle, that you start out with God, you come from God's pure light and love and become incarnated in your body. And then you live in it for 5, 10, 103 years, whatever it is. And at the end, you go back to God. But in this circle, you're closest to God at the very beginning and at the very end. You with me? So, 25-year-old listener right now, you can just kind of think, oh yeah, he seems to believe what he says. I'm promising you, in time, you're going to return to being as happy as you were when you were 2. And most 2-year-olds are pretty happy. If you get to know some, they can be quite an inspiration for joy. In fact, when you spend time around 2-year-olds, you start to say, wow, I'm blessed. Similarly, you get to know some real old folks, especially ones that have prayed a lot and seen a lot and lost a lot and been resurrected a few times. You're going to learn a lot about blessing from them too. So I hope I've given everybody a few tools to feel more blessed, and I hope I've given everyone an invitation to embrace those, work them, and just name yourself as super blessed. And I'd like to repeat one thing I said at the beginning. This is not a competitive business. In fact, it's just the opposite. One of the greatest blessings that you can give yourself is to delight in the blessings of others. Be happy that your football team and the other football team have a great quarterback. Like the other day, I watched the Chiefs play, and they got a great quarterback, but the other team did too. Made it all the better. Just be happy for goodness and gift and joy, and be happy for other people's blessings, and trust me, you bless yourself in doing it. All right, that's enough for now. From the most blessed man on earth, thank you again, Phil Barnes, fellow most blessed man on earth, and I wish all of you, most blessed men and women on earth, the greatest Friday you can have. Take care.